Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles. My name is Danny De Lillo. I'm delighted to be joined here by Tracy with her fantastic film Out of Place. But for those that haven't seen it, let's take a look at a clip. Tracy, thank you so much for bringing your film to us at New Filmmakers LA. What a treat! And thank you for joining us today. For those that haven't seen your film, tell us a brief synopsis.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And so, Out of Place is a dual narrative. It's kind of a love story between two people who've never met. And it's about a young, aspiring Chinese pianist and a Mexican house painter, unaware of them being neighbors, go through a day of disillusionment together. Yeah.
It's great. It's such a great story, and I honestly loved it so much. I wanted more, but I love the exploration of a dual narrative. It's always exciting to see two different lives so close together, but just very different lives. Where did the inspiration come for you in creating this particular story?
Yes. Yeah, like I said before, I think it started when I started to think about a lot of phone call conversations with my mom in New York. I am a Chinese filmmaker, and so I first came to the U.S. when I was pursuing my bachelor degree at Columbia in New York. And I just remember all those little conversations with my mom, and we kind of talk about how's our days. And I remember the little lies I told that everything's great, that I'm not lonely in a foreign city, a foreign country. And then she would tell me the same. And I think the idea of the film kind of comes from the truth and also the lies in those conversations. Yeah.
I'm so glad you made this story. So you moved to New York, you said, right? Or yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, I also moved to New York as an international student as well, and it's a very hard place to be as a young person and be in a different country, different culture, everything. And so it was great. And you know what I really loved is I love that you told the story of an international student in the United States. United States is a big culture shock, and I didn't have the language barrier either, and there's a lot of different things and how to do things. And, I think it's a real brave for a student to come from a different country and be in the America, not just the United States, but New York City, like it's a lot,
Hmm.
or LA, again, like in the story, it's a lot as well. Um, going through those experiences, I'm sure you felt that. So I love this kind of dual narrative that mix between this other kind of situation that's going on with this, other family. How do you come about combining the two stories together?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. So the girl side of the story obviously is inspired by my experience, and then I thought about my mom, and I kind of just switched that position into if it's a parent going away, and what would it feel like? So I think in my head I just wanted to create kind of a dialogue that you can see like the two parts of the conversation. Yeah.
Well, you know what's so nice too, as well. When you live in big cities, you've got different people around you every single day that speak different languages or in different, different countries. And so I love there was like, a different dual narrative, but different languages within the United States of America. It happens every day, and we don't see enough of that content on our screens in the United States as well, which I thought was also really, really fantastic. Now, I love the characters that you created. I thought the cast was great. You really developed characters that I honestly I want to feature. That's how much I really enjoyed
Mhm.
it. How was the casting process for you?
Oh, it's actually very interesting. I think none of them came through traditional casting platform. So I already started, I think I was at like already during callbacks when my producer was talking to me about that there's this girl from her dance class. And then I was having trouble finding this girl, and then I was like, "Yeah, call her," and then she showed up. And so so I just got her on the spot. And then for Chamo's character, it's in a very similar situation. I also couldn't find him. It's somehow I think I found like people who are a little bit too pretty to be realistic to portray this character, and then I found people who they're terrific actors, but maybe on the age range it's a little bit higher. So I couldn't kind of create this love dynamic on screen. So I think my friend, who's also a director, she watched this film and then she said you should watch it, and I picked him out from like she wasn't the lead, he wasn't the lead, and then I kind of just saw him and loved like kind of how he presented himself on screen, and then I just gave it to him. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
See, you never know where you're gonna meet your cast. I love it. It all worked really well together. Now, music plays a big, huge element in this film. And I love that there's a different flow of music in this film as well. Obviously, her being a musician herself. But how did the element of music, come into play? How do
Mm.
you choose that? That's quite a it really gave a feeling of the story and with the characters and the situation. So how was that kind of process for you?
Yeah, there are actually two parts. On the one hand, you have the piano, and that's obviously also inspired by my upbringing. That my mom's a pianist, and then I pursued piano for amount of time, and so I wanted something original, something. So the song that we hear in the movie is original, like originally composed for the film. um and then on the other hand there's the Latin side. And then it's kind of crazy story. I heard the music on the radio, and then I emailed both bands, and then they're incredible artists. One is called Peunche. I hope I didn't murder the language. And then the other one is Jenny and the Mexicats. And then I was just emailing them about the music and how much I love them, and they gave it to me. And then so it
Wow.
was really incredible. Yeah.
Tracy, I love how your inspiration, you never know where it's going to come from or where you're going to find it. Must be exciting to work on your film set. That's amazing. So for you personally as well, like obviously you're new into your, career. You're obviously, making great films already at such a young age. But like for you, in terms of how you are, how you direct and work with your actors. You've got a lot of actors with very different kind of circumstances going on, and how do you work with your actors? Do you rehearse? What's the kind of process in working with your actors that you do?
Yeah, I think it depends on individual actors. Um, I think the process that works best for me is probably to improv during rehearsals. And like I actually rehearse. I know it's not everybody do it, but I actually like rehearsing scenes.
Mhm.
And then but they can find their own rhythm during the scene. It's important for me to kind of visualize like what you wrote and then see what is not working, and then kind of on the day it will be semi locked, like I understand what are the beats of the scene and I understand how to place the camera. And so it's kind of more formal, like on the day that they kind of already know what they're doing. But I do like to rehearse a lot
I think rehearsals are
before.
great.
Yeah.
Actors enjoy the opportunity to kind of play, and so rehearsals. That's glad that you kind of do rehearsals. One thing I was thinking about, Tracy, I was like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of locations. How that looked like a big deal, moving from all those different locations, and kind of what was the action that was going on in each of those scenes. So it brings me to a question: what was the kind of biggest challenge that you had in production?
During production, oh, it's interesting. It was pouring rain. Yeah, it was like, I know.
Like, what is that?
Um, I have no idea, but when I was shooting, it was just pouring. It was like, yeah, like so the circumstances for shooting was a little bit difficult. Everybody was kind of drenched. um yeah, but actually it was quite like during production it was quite smooth. I'm sure there were like little things with FilmLA, like when are you allowed to shoot, that I wasn't, no, I was very aware of.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't care. I already planned for this film for what, 6 months, a year. Like I have to shoot. Like I had to shoot. So I was like, yeah, it can snow, and I will still shoot.
Still be there.
Yeah. So yeah, but in all, it was relatively smooth. Yeah.
Oh, that's good news. Well, I mean, listen, we love obviously having your film with us at New Filmmakers LA, and I'm so glad that not only a dual narrative, but it was so nice to sort of see other like two different languages spoken as a sort of dual through this dual narrative in the United States, because it's something that we see every day in LA all the time, and there's not enough of that on film as of yet, and I really love that. Was that something that you want to see more of, and what you're trying to maybe do in more of your projects? Like, how was that experience for you?
Yeah, I think people shouldn't be afraid of the subtitles. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, I think some of my favorite films are subtitled. I think it added another kind of, not just texture, but emotions, when you have to actually read. Like,
Yeah.
it gives you a different kind of feeling, when you're trying to kind of understand, and also with the image. I think, for me, it's kind of the reality of the world we live in, and then I'm also fascinated by language, how the mistranslation, miscommunication happen and take place, and then also in a way, kind of the language is also how we create intimacy, like, with people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that I would love continue to do. Yeah, but it's actually quite few. I'm trying to kind of remember which film, like The Farewell. I think it's just such a rare film, like, I think it's about the American experience, but it's, like, in another language.
Yeah.
um
But no, I mean the greatness is it's like there's so much. I mean, listen, it's wonderful living in LA where there's so many languages spoken, but it's so nice that you actually showcase that on film, because that is the reality of the city that we live in, as an example, and New York being the same way too. So it was just refreshing, because I mean half the films at New Filmmakers are films in different languages, and it's part of our great culture that we have with our filmmakers and storytellers. So I love it. I just want more of it. That's all. I want more of it. I think it was really great with two different languages in there. It's really fantastic. I also love what you mentioned in the Q&A yesterday as well, about kind of the areas of filmmaking, and kind of subjects and stories you want to do. Tell us a little bit more about what's coming next for you, and what more you kind of want to move into.
Yes, I think as a new filmmaker, yes, I think we are all kind of ready for our first feature. And yeah, I have a couple ideas, uh, you know, coming up. And I think one is called A Graduation, which is inspired by my mom's first visit to United States. And then I'm kind of focusing on the miscommunication happen between us, and kind of just want the audience to observe how that conflict unfold.
Oh, I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you writing that script currently at the moment?
Yes, yes. I'm currently sending it to different labs and fellowships, and hoping to get it better. Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, that's very exciting. Well, congratulations on that. I mean, I know you're obviously so early in your career, but obviously with your, training experience as well, is there any kind of advice you can share for other filmmakers out there, or things that you go by that help you on your journey for you as a artist, as a filmmaker?
Um, I think probably watch movies. That's probably number one. Just identify people who are, doing the things that you kind of aspire to, and then also listen to their interviews and yeah, their interviews and lectures. It's crazy the amount of kind of information you can get from them talking 30 minutes. um, and you can kind of figure out how you want to work, because obviously different directors have different styles of working with actors, working with cameras. And then I think it's important for you to kind of identify who you want to take from, who you kind of acknowledge, like you admire them but you will never do what they do. Yeah, I think that's kind of the most rewarding, like for me, especially during the quarantine when we can't like go out there and just shoot. Yeah, I think if you're not shooting, that's kind of the best way that I can think of.
It's so important. It's more often than not, it's not stated enough, and how much you can learn from watching other work as well and from each other. I think that's really really important advice. Well, Tracy, I'm looking forward to your feature that you're gonna obviously unleash at some point. But thank you for bringing Out of Place. It was a really really special film, and I think really just enlighten people to a journey for international students, and what one goes through, and missing family and things that are different. I think it was a really really great film, and so glad that you brought it to us at New Filmmakers. So thank you very very much.
No, thank you, Danny.